No problem. No, they can hear me. I can hear myself. Hello, everyone. Good morning. You can have a seat over here. Good morning. My name is LULAMA. LULAMA Mali. I am the deputy chair of Women in Music South Africa. I am also a 90s music head. I'm a fan of that era, of the culture of the time. So let me introduce the queens, right? On the other side, it's Miss Penny LEBYANE. So Miss, that thing is quite bright. So I've asked everyone how I can address them. They didn't want me to call them Musisi, so Penny LEBYANE. Penny LEBYANE is the fly girl. You know? the fly one. So she has been one of the first radio presenters that I kind of remember. I have a short story to share with you. Just remind me, it might not be that cute. Yeah, so she's been in the industry for a very long time. Yeah, we've learned so much, but I want to, I'm going to unpack when we have the conversation. So Miss Penny LEBYANE on the other side, and the First Lady of Kwaito, TAMARA Day. And everyone's crush. Anyone that has been alive has had a crush. Has had a crush, ZANDI NHLAPO. And we have our child stars over here. WINNIE, KHUMALO, totally respect you. And Miss Nasty. So NESTUM over here. Oh, NESTUM, when's I saw? Okay, can I sit? I feel like I don't wanna, you know? Okay. I have a book of questions, and I said I was not gonna have questions, but I have quite a few. So most importantly, they told us like, oh, this is where we talk about music in the 90s or the culture from the 90s. But I think I was having like a quick chat with, sorry, NESTUM, not sis, NESTUM, no WINNIE earlier. I love having this conversation outside of August when every woman in the industry in August gets booked because they need to fill up these spaces and these chairs for these kinds of comedy, these kinds of conversations. So I wanted it to be a reflective space. I wanted it to be a celebratory space. I wanted us to give you your flowers, basically, while you can still smell them, because yeah, like we lose people, and now we want to speak very nicely when people are no longer alive. So personally, I wanted to give you your flowers individually, to say thank you for your contribution to the culture. Thank you for giving us something to look up to. Yeah. So yes. So I'm going to start with maybe both the child stars. You started in the business, both of you, at 15. I stalked your information. So both of you started quite young. And at 15, I'd like you to kind of share what that was, how that felt. And because it Should I go on or should I?
So we're starting again. I was talking about both your careers starting when you were babies, which was at 15. I kind of want to hear how that's shaped you as NESTUM, as ZANELE, sorry. But NESTUM was still, you know. So because I believe that there's NESTUM, the entertainer, and then there's, you understand? So I wanted to kind of understand how, if it has, you know, how that's shaped, the both of you. I mean, any of you can take this one.
All right, Mama, it's a nice check one. Are you ready? Hello, Sanbonani. Thank you for having us, Africa Rising Music Conference. For the fact that you are celebrating us while we are still alive, it's a plus. As we have just said, I've started at a very young age. I think I was, yes, you are correct, I was 15 going for 16. And I remember South Africans were very mad. We're asking about, where are the parents? She is still young, at the age of 15, going for 16, and now she's all over the stage. And remember that time you used to wear very short things? And I remember that we had those rigid thighs. And so people were crazy. Where are the parents? You know, she's gonna be a junkie. She's not going to finish school. But look at me now, you know. I was so excited. I remember the time I met my former boss, and then he said to me, what can you do? I said, I can sing, I can dance, I can rap, I can write songs, I can do anything. And he was like, yeah, this one. And I started doing all those things once. And it was overwhelming for me to see where I am now and to check Mr. You know, remember, Tina, we are Kwaito legends. And remember Kwaito, culture. You understand? It's like we were trying to tell the world, who are we? You understand that the way we are living our lives, you get my point. So we wanted to tell the world, this is us. And we're not going to be apologetic about that. This is how we live in the hood. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Using our gasoline. You know, music is so powerful because you can change the world using music. You can teach different things at once using music. So for me now, I was like, thank you, God, for the fact that you gave me the talent. And I've never hesitated. And I went for it. And I kicked. And, you know, and even now, we are still doing that. For the fact that we are called legends, for the fact that we are here on the stage, we have done well. You know, we have laid the foundation for those who are doing the music now. And remember, music is transforming, has transformed. Let me put it that way. You know, you can listen to Amapiano, and when you listen to Kwaito, we are saying the same thing, but in a different way. You know, Kwaito, it was a mid-tempo, and then when you listen to Amapiano, it's up-tempo. And at the same time, they are telling our story. This is who we are, nothing else.
Do you want to give it a stab as well as to your experience? Yeah.
Thank you. This is so exciting for me to be here. It's the first time being celebrated in South Africa. Yeah. Thank you. I've started singing at the age of 15. I'm proudly saying today I'm 50. I am 50 and still standing, you know. Yeah, I used to imitate Brenda. I've worked with the likes of Brenda herself, Chico Twala, you name all these big names. It wasn't easy, but yeah, Mawinza West is still standing. Yeah, the game has changed a lot. We used to do bubblegum back then. Our music was called bubblegum. And I would say our music was quality, our music was proper. Because if you can play our music as in now, people will dance. Instead of the music that has been done now, I'm a piano. I'm not criticizing them, but I'm checking the quality of the music that we used to do, you know. You can play our music and yeah, our music is still kicking some.
I'll say it, they kicking ass. So for those who don't know, Winnie started as Brenda Fass's backup singer. That's how far she goes. And you know, if you've been doing that, I don't even know when that was, but that was a long time ago. 19, you know, some of our audience members were not even ideas, you know, but you're out here looking gorgeous as ever. Yeah, so maybe let's take it to the other side. It will travel to, because I don't. No, I'm saying I don't. Okay, yeah. So that. I mean, I as I was saying, like I have these mixed questions so that we can kind of make it as the conversation as dynamic as we can, but also very targeted. So I wanted to speak directly to you, Penny, because I wanted you to talk about, well, you and Tamara. I wanted you to talk to me about targeted exclusion as well as discrimination, because whether we like it or not, is this too deep for you? I thought you liked it deep sometimes. Those who know. You've been through quite a lot, and I wanted to say this to the both of you. Tamara being in a predominantly black space. I mean, when was he? Yeah, that was 2001. Tatimbatlako. No, that was 2001. I know because I was in matric in 2001. I know this very well. 3? Tatimbatlako, yeah. Tatimbatlako was 2001. There you go. Yes. So yeah, so because this space was very male dominated, the space smells like, you know, it smells like men. I wanted to know to know your feelings around that, and maybe speak to us about the targeted, because it definitely felt targeted. You may have felt the discrimination. You may have been on the brunt of exclusion because you were a woman in this male-dominated space. So maybe take me through some of the things that you went through.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Penny LEBYANE. I'm a broadcaster, a culture activist. I got into broadcasting at the age of 17 for a community station called The Voice of Soweto. So it's a precursor, really, of the YFM generation. We actually had applied for the same license. They got it, we didn't. And we were broadcasting to Soweto. So as we went into elections of 1994, we were issued with community licenses, and Voice of Soweto was that station that was based on Fox Street. Really, my story starts from there. It was about capturing the voice of young people at the time, and music was how we could represent ourselves. And the things, we just didn't have a space. You know, we were not allowed on Radio Metro at the time, or cause it was, you know, adult people's stuff. Then the generation of Voice of Soweto comes in, which means we could be able to celebrate ourselves as teenagers, or Generation X, I think, because we are the ones who were, when the country's transitioning, you know, we were transitioning with it, but we really were not adults. We were young people, but we were left to our own means, in a way. And as South Africa goes into freedom, we need to tell our story. So a girl like myself, who is from a rural setup but grew up in Soweto, I saw Soweto as a place of self-expression, independence, and all of that. But then I also got exposed to like a lot of literature about American youth culture, you know, hip-hop and all of that. So I had an inclination of the sexism and exploitation and all those stuff, but I didn't have the language, you know? And then I got on radio as a young woman for that station. Thank goodness the men in that space were kinda. They gave me too much freedom. I was allowed to be. I could be at a 999 concert as much as I could be at a Kalawa concert, as much as I could go watch Yuma Sekela at Kipi's, as much as I could go to, I mean, there was no Joy of Jazz then, but like literally running the streets, watching all sorts of performances and interacting with artists. The same way I could go to CCP Records on the 50th floor at the Carlton Center, BMG, collecting music and all of that. So my journey was chosen for me by being that kind of a young woman. So, you know, listening to young women and young men trying to articulate their story, but also express their backgrounds and what informs their music through radio in English when we couldn't, was also hard. But also articulating what they had written, you know, how it resonates beyond just, yo, yes, young shy and fun. Like, our story is not just one lines, you know? There's a lot of pain that comes with that. And I, you know, unfortunately, I had the gift of the gab. I love reading. And also, I have a heart of an artist. And when I say an artist, I say fashion, music, writers, whatever. I think someone earlier on said to me, Penny's always been involved. So I didn't even know that that's so me. I didn't even know that I could speak up for other people. I literally was just trying to speak up for myself and protect my own story and be able to achieve the dreams and things that I want to do, you know. But also I could see my peers going through things. And even though I didn't understand like activism, social justice, you know, feminism and all of those things, I just didn't like it when men spoke to you a certain way, or racism, white people speaking to you a certain way, or things like, you're too, you know, always wear black, you know, it will make you look slimmer. No, I like color. You know what I mean? So what? You know what I mean? I was embracing all of that. But as much as I was listening to hip hop and what hip hop of the 90s was about. So it was a very difficult era because we were thrown into a space not aware of what we're dealing with. Do you know what I mean? And yes, men have their powers and they use their powers. But, you know, I'm grateful that I'm here. Literally, I'm shaking because I know the people who should be here who are not here. You know, and it's not because they didn't deserve to be here. They got tired. They got hurt. They left. They died. They gave up. So all these ladies, girls, you know, I know them from when their stories start. But I was a girl on radio who say things. Some of the things I said were not even about me. It's what they said to me. And they got you in trouble.
Penny, 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 give it up. Hello everyone, I'm Tamara Day. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been in the industry for many years, still going strong. Thank you.
Yes.
And my start in the music industry kicked off, like we said, in early 2000s. I grew up on house music, and found myself at raves and house clubs, freestyling over music with DJs, and then eventually got discovered by DJ Pepsi and his brother Oskido, and that was the beginning of an incredible journey that I'm eternally grateful for. And I found myself sort of saying goodbye to my other life and just throwing myself into that world, like just diving in head first. And I got to tour this country and perform in townships and experience the African culture in a way that was truly unforgettable and shaped me, shaped my career, the way I see the world. I mean, it had the most incredible impact on my life in the most beautiful way. So that was just something important to say. But anyway, that's where it all started. And yeah, it was, I must say, I was surrounded by, you know, a lot of male energy, right? It was, at that time, the scene was incredibly dominated by the men, whether they be our record label people, the gatekeepers, the producers, I mean, you name it. Just everybody, basically. And I did turn to the females in the industry a lot for guidance. There were women who had come before. Often I would go onto radio and people would ask me, like, tell us about your struggles as a female in the industry. And I had come in after some incredibly powerful women had paved the way and had already affected a lot of change, and they were at the core of that. They were already fighting that fight, you know what I mean? And so I got to kind of connect with those women, and I was very grateful for the work they'd already done, and the sort of stand they'd already taken in the industry. And when times were tough and I was surrounded by only men and quite sort of alone out there, or feeling quite alone out there and just kind of putting on a brave face, it was the women that I turned to for that support. They gave me guidance about just everything, absolutely everything that other people were not saying to me, important information about the industry, about publishing, about, you know, when you first start, like, I didn't know what publishing was, had no idea. There's a lot of my early music that, you know, my name is not on there, and these were very, very big hits that are still on radio today. And along the way, very thankfully, the women around me and the women who were already in the music industry gave me a lot of guidance and support, and also, can I just say, opened their arms to me. Like, I was nobody, literally. I mean, I was just this young white girl that kind of just, like I said, jumped into this opportunity to make, you know, what I knew as house music, but which was quite so. And I ended up very shortly after that getting to work with queens, Lebo Matoza, Tandiswa Mazwai, Tembi Siete, who just happily jumped on music with me, created with me, collaborated with me. And it was like, and who was I? Like, you know what I mean? So at that, you know what I mean? So that support is the reason I'm still making music and still successful today, really it is. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you to my ladies and everyone else in between.
Amazing, amazing. Oh yes, so this short story that I said I have for Penny. So a 13-year-old me has beef with Penny. So it was in 1997, a Saturday. You had a show on Saturday. I stole my phone at home. I called in, and you had asked a question, and because I knew my 90s music, I got the answers. And I was supposed to get a couple of CDs. It's now 25 years later. Penny, I want my CDs. Anyway.
So, blame the music compiler upstairs, who was a man.
Don't know them.
Because I wrote the name, took it to music department. They were supposed to send the CDs. All I did was run the competition.
I don't know them. I know Penny.
And it must have been 1998. Because I only did Saturday afternoons, 99.
It was either 97 or 98.
98, 99.
Yeah. But I remember, but a very young me was very, like for many years.
This is very deep. Sure. Don't worry, I also have a beef with other people who I wrote letters to who never responded to me at 14. when they were in beauty pageants.
Oh, okay. Not Nike. She can answer for herself. So now let's go to you. Is that you that didn't answer? Oh, okay.
No, it's not me.
Okay, so about you. So I also wanted to say to you, you walked so Uzozi could fly, because you were the first girl on our screens that wore her hair like that. Those who knows that everyone was in some type of way. So that's why I'm saying, like, you walked Uzozi so that Uzozi could soar. Thank you for that. Thank you for being such. I said I was not going to be emotional, but it's such a warm feeling that all of you bring, you know, because there are so many memories that have your faces as soundtracks, you know, and it's been like, since they told me that I was going to be talking to you, I'm like, what single memory am I going to bring forth to all of you? And it's such a shame that you're saying that this is the first time that you're being celebrated. It's BS. It's BS. I actually shared with you that I think I was like 7, 8 when my granddad snuck me into a Good Hope Center. I'm from Cape Town. I just moved to Joburg 6 months ago. And you were incredible. And I remember you, I don't know why, but from when I was 7 years old, singing. And like, you danced your ass off, you know? And that memory lives, it lives so, it's alive in, you know, in my psyche. And I'm grateful that you are still here, you know, that you're still continuing and having experience, because this industry has not been kind to you. Like, everyone has experienced some kind of trauma, as Upeni has said, but it has been the least kind to you. But I wanted to say that you're here, and thank you for that. Back to Zandi. Yes, you were at the forefront of the culture. You told us what was up and coming. You told us what we're supposed to be, you know, looking forward to. You got us excited where, you know, Studio Mix is going to come and we're going to get to see these guys. Those who didn't know, like, you know, there were studio mixes, there were techniques out of the beat, the 0 hour zone. You told us, and we were excited about that stuff. I want you to take us back to that. And also how important has reinventing yourself, because kids don't know you, or, you know, I don't know if they do, they lost. But I want you to take us to that, because you were at the forefront of that. How did that feel for you? And yeah, and maybe just speak to reinventing yourself to this audience, this time right now.
Sure. I don't even know where to start, but let me just start with good morning. Hi, everybody. Hi, you guys. Warm and okay. Thank you for gracing us with your presence in this cold weather, that you made time to come in and sit here and listen to us tell our stories. My name is ZANDI NHLAPO. I was a presenter, TV presenter. I am a businesswoman currently and an actress and an all-rounder, basically. I would like to think, you know, and as everybody is telling their story, I'm trying to remember mine succinctly, but it won't be as clear as I'd like it to be. So I'll try as best as I can, right? So basically, I was at the lead of a culture change in the country when an entire country was morphing into something different. We were all, and I mean all, at that euphoric state of change. The transition in 1994 when we could all vote. So you can imagine everybody now knows their identity. We were what Instagram is today. Television was your go-to medium for a visual reference. Okay? That's where we lived. That was a space that was, I don't even know how to explain it, because trying to put it into words, the description of the power of the medium that it was, coupled with radio. So I come from an era where, at that point in time, like Penny was saying, we were adults, but not really. We were getting into a space where we don't know what this is all about. Really, we didn't. You are thrust into the space and you sink or swim. And everything defines you, like literally. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you touch, everything you taste, defined who you are. And this is when we were all building our own characters. We were building our personalities. We were defining who we are. We are now, everything is now tangible. You know, everything is now tangible. You can carve your career in a direction that you deem it should go. And there was a lot of influence from each and every corner, from print, from radio, from music, from a media perspective. We now had a voice. And being in a space where visually, at that point in time, you have to be visually appealing to be on TV, right? You have to be easy on the eye, kind of thing, you know? But also, you need to also make sense. And I realized much later in life that people actually thought that continuity presenting was about introducing the next program. All right. No, darling, you can only say studio mix is coming up next in 3 seconds. You have 30 seconds to fill it with something. So you had to read. You had to know your current affairs. Otherwise, what are you going to talk about? And 30 seconds is a damn long time. You should know. It's a long time on air. It's a long time on air. 30 seconds. Try any black space in 30 seconds. Close your eyes for 30 seconds. You know. So at that point in time, the culture was now being defined. The culture which was influenced by a lot of things, like I was saying, Kwaito, it was influenced by page 3 of the newspaper Sunday World. It was, because nobody could tag you, that you had to hear the story on page 3. If you are not on page 3, girl, you've survived the week. You've literally survived the week. When you're on page 3, you know you are news. So, and music was a great part of that space. Music was a great part of that space. You know the expression that the revolution will not be televised, but it will always be sung. So, music was part of everything that we did was influenced by music. Every single thing to date. everything, I mean, I look at my life now and it looks like, well, it sounds like a long soundtrack. Because for every single little thing, I attach a musical memory to it. Like this morning, when I was waking up and I'm like, oh, it's so cold. And one thing came to my mind. I was singing Brenda Fassie's song, Amalahle, you know, in my head. So literally, music was a great part, and it still is. And this is the reason why, and it never dissipates. Like there's never a time when you say music is never relevant. This is the reason why they sample, you know. This is the reason why there's samples. So I've lived my life through a musical journey and a visual journey, and I can tell you this much. I'm lucky enough to have done it at the time that we did it. As clueless as we were, I was nice. It was nice. The 90s, and I guess the reason why we are all here today as the queens of the 90s is to tell you our story from our understanding of where we were and our journey and the reason why we are here today, and also just how proud we are to be sitting here as the queens of the 90s. And when you were saying 2003, right? You were telling a story about 2003. I'm thinking to myself, the Mapiano artists in the next 20 years, I wonder what type of story will they be telling? You know, because music is a journey. It's a mental library that you create. There is no one in this room that is going to tell me that they do not have specific memories that they do not link to music. None. Like every time I think of my youth and in the 90s, I related to music. So we are here today because of all the inclusion of a culture change that was happening and that has given birth to where we are right now and the cultures that are going to be born from here as much as we come from a culture itself. Thank you.
Yeah. I think, thank you for that. And I think just to kind of continue from that thought, that I wonder what the artists right now will be talking about, you know, in the next 20 or so years. I wanted, I mean, anyone can take the mic. What we can't take away from the kids right now is how fearless they are. I wanted to kind of pick your heads as to what are you learning from them? What are you learning from this, from Ama 2K?
Okay, so I think before I get into that, this is, you know, if Zandi's saying that television was the Instagram of that time, you know, radio becomes, you know, the Twitter of at that time, and radio will always be that constant as well, because then it can converge into other media. And for me, that's what I love about the medium, is that, you know, it could happen on television, but not everybody could have seen it at that particular time, but we can talk about it, you know, on radio. And then I had an opportunity, you know, to also write for newspapers. So the space of convergence media is a space that I've always been in. And I think one of the things that we constantly miss as South Africa when it comes to pop culture is the interconnectivity of all the mediums and the stories, you know, and I think what I learned from the kids from now is they're not, because we have the language now, which is what we didn't have, is that they can be able to put a name to it and label it. You know, like I'm an archivist of South African pop culture, but I'm not confident to come out and say that. I can actually tell stories about each and every one of them and paraphrase it and tell you what happened in this moment and how they shifted culture. You know, because also as artists, you can be consumed by what you're doing at that particular time. That it's difficult for you to interpret how your creativity connects with other creatives around you. And it could be by choice, or it could be because you don't see the interest. The kids now, they are as fearless as we were, because youth is about fearlessness. The only thing that we struggle with as a South African is to connect that and keep the momentum. So they have beautiful stories, the kids. If you hang out with them, you will know. Like from Focalista to Buhle, I interviewed Buhle at probably one of her first interviews, or Waffles, and when they showed up, like Buhle showed up with her dad, he's a pastor. And those for me are the kind of things that I love about my work, is to tell the different stories about them and remind them who they are, and how we, in that way, can curate and capture our stories to the rest of the world. What we miss, we don't go confidently to tell our stories. Other people come and they tell bits and bits of our stories, and we look like we are just in a revolution now. Boom Shaka performed in London in 2000, if not 99. No one is doing it for the first time. Miriam Makeba was in the US in the 70s. No one is doing it for the first time. Brenda Fassie filled up clubs in the 80s, same thing. No one is doing it for the first time. The only thing I concern myself about with the young people is when they perform and they're sampling a song, and it's like it's an original. And I'm like, they're like, yeah, I wrote the song, you know. I had someone this weekend, you know, it's got this, you know, the song My Friend and I, and this hook. And the hook was like, higher and higher. And I was like, babe, this was your moment, which is what Beyonce will do. They will put Diana Ross on the screen. Then they will, I'm going to take a moment to give Diana Ross. In that moment, that's when they're supposed to say, I wouldn't be standing here without a queen like Brenda Fassie, who wrote the song, and she's on the screen, and they say, this is my interpretation of it. That's the biggest problem I have. But as for the music and the clubs, babe, I get down to that stuff. And they have a story. So we just need to do more of this. Conversations of intergenerational, so we connect. Because when we show up like I'm the first one to the rest of the world, they see through us. Ask them in Germany, in Amsterdam, they're like, okay, we got them again, you know, and the story doesn't continue. So we need to continue the story.
That's amazing. I've just been told that we have 5 minutes, so they timing me now. Yeah, I know. So I'm going to take like 1 or 2 questions from the floor. If not, I'm happy. I have questions in my notebook. I can eat this all by myself. So if anyone... but do I want to take your question? Don't know. Okay, okay, I see you. Okay, I'll do it, I guess.
Hi everyone, my name is Sulan Nzama. Hello Queens. Quick question. The one thing I know for sure is when you pursue something greater than yourself, quite often there's a level of imposter syndrome that is there. So I just want to know, with you guys having been in the industry for years, individually, how have you dealt with, maybe I should release an album, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should release the song, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe for my next image or album, this is how I should look and stuff like that. And maybe for my next radio show, this is what I should say, maybe this is what I shouldn't do. So I just want to know, how have you guys dealt with all of that and kept it to this point? I hope it's clear, yeah? Thank you.
I think before we came to the stage, we had a little bit of chat behind the scenes. I think with me, I'm going to talk about me, because I don't like talking about other people. Even when I do the examples like about me. So with me, I remember you did ask me, how did I kept it alive, you know? And I am still standing. And those were your words, not mine. You said I am still standing, and I don't age, or whether maybe I age gracefully, I don't know. Those were your words. And then you said, and the energy, you know, the character, the charisma, the personality. How do you do it? And you know what I said to her? Mina, I don't have regrets. Whatever happened, it was supposed to happen.
it was my journey, you know, and for the fact that you said I am still standing, thank you, by the grace of God, living my life the way I wanted to. I didn't want to please people, young understander. What you see, it is what you get. I am very loud, very energetic, very crazy, and I'm not going to be apologetic about it. If you're somewhere or there are certain type of people and then now I need to change. No, this is me, and you're going to accept me the way I am. You know, and I created my own rules so that I could survive. Because imagine if I didn't create my own rules in these days that we are living. You know, we have the power of social media. It's another world. You know, so if you will tap into that forcefully or fully with all your energy and all your heart, what is going to happen? So in order for me to keep it alive, I had to create my own rules. Those that they will apply to my standard of living so that I could breathe and swim and still being standing even now. Otherwise, it was going to be, ooh, I wish I should have done this, done that, been there, blah, 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 and then what's the point?
I wanted to just about a little bit about imposter syndrome. Yes, I think we've all experienced that one time or another, or many times, in fact, and probably still all do. But I think something just, you know, that helps me kind of get out of that headspace as a creative is just kind of connecting to the bigger purpose of what it is that we're all doing here. You know, that music is the healer. You know, for me, it's been the biggest healing mechanism in my life since from day one to current day, and just kind of not getting caught up in those narratives and that sort of kind of self-talk as well, but staying connected to the bigger thing that we're all connected to with music can really be a great tool to sort of getting you out of, you know, getting too sucked into that kind of narrative, the likes, the sales, all of that stuff. So that's a big thing. And there was one other thing which I've now, damn it. Anyway, it was so important. Okay, but I'm gonna hand over to, guess if I remember, please.
Just to answer that question about the imposter syndrome, I think we all suffer from an imposter syndrome. It's called fear, ultimately. If we simplify it, it's called fear. So, I mean, I'll speak about myself. In the way that I would deal, I still have imposter syndrome to date. You know, there are things that I want to do so badly, but my fear holds me back, you know. And it still happens up until now. How I deal or dealt and deal with imposter syndrome is alone time. The thing is, this industry, especially the entertainment industry, we are thrust in people's faces and in people's lives all the time that it's very easy to lose yourself if the reflection that you are looking for is from another person. So it is very important to be able to take time for yourself and understand yourself. Alone time makes a huge difference. It has made a huge difference in my life.
I just remembered. I just remembered.
We're dealing with adults that, you know, that kind of forget things, so please excuse us.
Sorry. I just wanted to say the other thing is that our most powerful and valuable asset as creatives is that we are ourselves. How can we possibly be imposters when there is no other version that is you? So like it's just, and it is honestly your most powerful asset as a creative, a musician, whatever it is you're doing, that is your power. So if that is coming into your head, you're feeling like imposter, there is no other you. You are meant to be exactly where you are, doing what you're meant to do. You're meant to be doing. No matter how crazy it seems in the moment, you got to go for it. Penny.
You know, if I published a book, it would be I didn't have the words. And it's funny because, you know, I'm a communicator. I work on radio, television, writing, and all of that. I think that not having the labels and the words, you know, I relied on intuition, you know, and I don't think I even knew that it was intuition even then. Do you know what I mean? I think now that, you know, I'm of mature age, and like Zandi was saying, you know, I do a lot of spending time with myself, reflectiveness, and working on my energies and all of that stuff, is that I'm able to understand that. And I think one of the things that we need to talk about as women, especially in women of African descent, in the creative space, is that our stories are not your story. You're carrying stories of your lineage, and, you know, women of your generations and all of that. And sometimes we are unconscious of that, you know. So maybe for me, because I knew that when I'm on radio, I'm about the audience, and I'm about articulating the space that I have, you know, been graced to be able to occupy, you know, whether it's music, whether it's television, you know, whether it's conferences, whether it's multicultural spaces. I gotta be able to articulate it in a way that speaks to that moment and the people that I'm speaking to, but in a language that they can be able to relate to without making them feeling left out. And I think as creatives, and since this is a, you know, Basadi women in music space, is that we need to realize that those voices, or that particular voice that we hear or that speaks sometimes is doubt, whatever, it's all those different energies. You know, there's places my grandmother couldn't go in, you know, and then I know that, you know, I'm gonna go in because she didn't go in. So that's how I'm gonna deal with that imposter syndrome. There's places where my mother doesn't even think that she qualifies to be in there. But there's even my peers who are like, yo, Penny, when you actually did say that, you know? But I have to be confident in myself and the people I serve and represent to be able to carry through that. And that's really how I've done things creatively. That's how I choose a job. That's how I do my next link. That's how I interact, you know, in that way. And that's how it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Before they kick me out, I'm going to take that one question, and it's only going to be answered by one person.
Okay, cool.
They're
Hi,
kicking us
everyone.
off the stage.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, queens. I'm Neo Summer X. The next big thing, don't worry, you're going to see me soon.
Yes, babe. Yes, babe. Yes.
So, yeah. I just have one question for you, queens. That's something that I'm struggling with. How did you, when you were on the come up, how did you know what your worth is? Because recently in the industry, a lot of people have just been exploiting left, right, and center.
They've
using
been.
us for free, you know, and I don't know. I feel like maybe I could find out from y'all, how do you stand your ground in the industry and say, by the way, I am not zero, I'm not free, 100, no 100 and free. I'm actually 2.5, or I don't know, man. Like, how did you put your worth on that? Yeah.
Well, babe, what I can say to you, we've been exploited. The exploitation started a long time ago. But this nowadays, it's getting worse. But I will say, I'm blaming you guys because you've got the information on social media. On Google, there's everything out there for you, you know. So if you are lacking something, it's all because of you understand? So, I've been exploited, but I've learned from that. That is why today I have a record label. I can even calculate my royalties, because before I didn't even know whether I made 150,000 and they will give me 15,000, you know. So there's information for you everywhere. So I don't see why would you allow yourself to be exploited. Why would you allow yourself to be under a record label and find yourself getting excited to sign a record deal whilst you don't even understand the contract?
Okay, on behalf of the children. Let's not be, you know, we need to teach worth and self-worth. We are not taught that. And how to exchange your value. You know, it's a very exploitative space, the creative space. And when you're starting out, you're at your hungriest, and you know the least about the space you're going into. So it's almost you need to trade off something. And it's not a fair trade. But your worth and what you believe in yourself is what's going to determine that. What do I mean? I got on radio at 17, 18. Babe, I wanted to be the first woman on drive on a particular station and things like that. It didn't happen. But I was willing to wait it out. I still didn't get it. But I did the work outside of that to still be Penny today. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you got to be able to trade not being paid 150,000 rands today and know that you're worth 150 million in 50 rands for the rest of the journey. The biggest problem is we want 150,000 today, now. So know that you're worth 150 million, but they're not going to sign it to you now. But you will make 150 million in your lifetime when you commit to yourself and the gift that you have. That's how you do it. That's how you say no. I think Jada Pinkett says that. That's how you say no to this production, because then the next one is going to come, it's going to be different. And that's energy. They know when you are weak. You need to know, I'm weak, I'm not going in there.
Wow, that was powerful. And also, I think to kind of close it off, I also wanted to kind of talk about the importance of community. That's also very important because you get to tap into the different spaces, the different knowledge, you know, levels. So community is a very, very important space to kind of elevate. So if, let's say you have a song, who do you speak to? You speak to other songwriters. Then they will kind of speak to you about licensing. They'll speak to you about publishing. You know, so as Winnie was saying, information is available, but so is community. So these are the type of spaces that we want to kind of we want to make those kinds of spaces available. I'm from Women in Music, and Women in Music is a space that that nurtures that type of thing. We have legal representative people that specialize in contracts and intellectual property. We have publishers, information that is important for people that don't know these spaces. We have people like myself that work in distribution. I can help with those kinds of things. So community is the most important thing, I say. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.